Earlier in the show, I told you all of the ways in which this protracted fiasco in the House of Representatives, wherein Republicans have been unable to elect a speaker, is bad for Republicans. Now, that's good. That makes me happy. I think the Republican Party is terrible for the country. I think their goals and ambitions are destructive. I want them to have a quagmire and to be unable to push forward their disgusting agenda. However, I don't want the country to fail. And as a general principle, not having a House Speaker is bad for the country, and it's a national security risk, and it is a source of instability. On thebulwark.com, Joe Perticone wrote an article touching on some of these issues called "House is Paralyzed Without a Speaker, Creating National Security Risks and a Shadow Shutdown. Imagine if this impasse were occurring in a presidential inaugural year." And Joe very precisely and astutely points out all of the different ways in which this current status quo is very bad, including that no one has actually been sworn into the House of Representatives yet. Even though George Santos said he was sworn in, he wasn't, and we'll get to that a little bit later. And I think it's important just to be clear about the risks that this presents. It is, I would argue, even simpler than Joe Perticone lays out. It's not that he's wrong, but it's even simpler. This situation in the House, where no one has been sworn in and there is no speaker, it can lead to a functional breakdown of the House of Representatives. The speaker actually plays a critical role in managing and organizing the legislative process. And with no speaker, how does the House conduct business and pass legislation? Is it possible to do? It is, but it's significantly more of a mess. Within government, no speaker and no one sworn in causes uncertainty. It causes instability. The speaker is one of the most powerful and influential figures or positions in Congress. And the American confidence in government is certain to decline. Our perception of the ability of the House to govern is quite low accurately because this is what they're doing. And then you say, okay, fine, that's abstract. But in practical terms, what could that mean? Well, it can lead to gridlock or inaction on important issues. When you think about debt ceiling votes, or if there's a natural disaster of some kind, a crisis, an emergency, the need for funding in a specific place, way, or form, without a speaker and without a sworn-in House, it is significantly more difficult for the House to actually manage those things, to respond to unforeseen events, and at the end of the day, to protect the country's interests. Now, do I think that Republicans don't care about that? No. I think at the individual level, a lot of these Republicans would honestly say, no, I do care about that. I understand that. I'm concerned. Does that mean they should compromise on their principles to the extent that this situation is caused by or catalyzed by their principles? No, I'm not saying that. But we have to be factual. We have to be honest. We have to be realistic. The longer this goes on, the more instability is accurately perceived by the American people. And obviously, the longer it goes on, the higher the chances are that something could happen domestically, internationally, and in other ways that would require, in normal circumstances, the involvement of the House of Representatives, and they will then be chaotically scrambling to try to get involved, help, or do something about it. So the primary interest from we have conflicting interests here. Each faction of the Republican Party wants to reign supreme in terms of ultimately deciding who is going to become Speaker of the House. I get that. That's politics. They don't want to be seen as the losers. They don't want to be seen as the ones who were impotent in trying to impose their preference of Speaker. That's one area. The impact on the Republican Party, we've already talked about. On the other hand, I hope that I'm accurate in assessing that the interest of the American people is to not have to think about the House of Representatives. And what I mean by that is, yes, there are some people who are more politically engaged than others, who pay attention to when are the midterms, where is control of the Senate, where is control of the House, and are more involved in that, including people like those who listen to this program, who watch our clips. The vast majority of the country, even many of those who vote in the midterms, don't spend their days and nights thinking about this stuff. And so if it's sort of like referees in a sporting event, if you're noticing the referees, if you're thinking about the referees, if the referees are significantly present in the game, arguably it is because they are doing something wrong or too involved or whatever the case may be. You've heard these sports analogies before. And likewise, I would argue, if the American people are thinking about the chaos in the House of Representatives to the extent that it has been front and center for the last 2-3 days, it is a bad thing. It is the type of thing where we shouldn't really have to be thinking about it. The House is there. If there's a natural disaster, they're going to act. They're going to help. They're going to fund. And that's where the national security risk comes here. We now have a balancing, a coming together of how long are they willing to continue this, and how tolerant will the American people be before approval rating, not only for the House as a body, where the approval rating is always low, but approval for their individual members of Congress is going to plummet. I don't know the answer to that, but I'm guessing we're going to start finding out about that very, very soon.